Worst injuries from sex that medics have encountered. Lava lamp stuck in the rectum, with the power cord sticking out like a tail. Broken penis. The guy had balls the size of grapefruits, I suppose, because the internal pudendal artery somehow migrated into them. Blood. I was in grad school then, now I'm in medical school. It was a minor injury, we couldn't do anything as first aid, it definitely required surgical intervention. And I also saw a bottle stuck in the rectum, the x-ray revealed it. Although I don't judge anyone, let them have fun however they want, but it's better not to stick anything glass into the back passage. Exotic ones delivered by order, a poisonous spider on a guy's ass. He called an ambulance because he didn't know if he could apply insect bite cream there, as the package said for external use only. They cut out the necrotic section of his intestine, now he shits into a bag. I'm a dentist. During my training practice, a girl came to us with an inflamed palate, and she was afraid she might have caught some infection. We ran several tests, no infections. One of the instructors pulled us aside and said it was just a bruise from deep penetration. Not a serious injury, but definitely memorable. I recently learned that you can also damage the palate during rough oral sex. Useful information. A young woman complained of red eyes, it turned out her eyes were just red from strain. We collected discharge from her eyes for analysis, and it turned out she had chlamydia there. The funniest moment was when we reported the results to the doctor, the expression on her face was priceless. At first, she was surprised how chlamydia could end up in a patient's eye, then she realized how it could have happened, and a look of deep disgust appeared on her face. Countless visits with various objects stuck in the back passage, dildos and vibrators, cucumbers, toilet brushes. If there's something you can shove in there, there'll be at least one person who does it, and we have to perform surgery to extract the object from there. The worst case was with a toilet brush, but there was something funny about it too. We had to lay out the brush on a separate table, which now seemed like a huge white sixth dick to us, to make sure we'd extracted everything that was there. Professional advice: if something's stuck in your ass, don't try to come up with unrealistic stories like your light bulb burned out, you decided to change it, but you were naked, and other nonsense. We understand how these objects got there, and you understand that we understand. There's nothing shameful about it, just say right away that you were having fun but overdid it. I often worked night shifts on weekends. Once, a young girl came in, despite her age, she already had an artificial hip, and she dislocated it. The doctors fixed the hip position, and she left. At the end of the next week, she came back for the same reason. 3 weekends in a row, and she's back with us again. Finally, I asked her what on earth she was doing that kept dislocating her hip. She said her boyfriend bends her leg very hard during sex. I advised her to try a different position. A guy had a pencil stuck in his urethra, wood is porous, the pencil got stuck. It stuck there all day, his piss couldn't get around the pencil, and that's why he came to us initially, because of urinary retention. Finally, during the exam, the doctor asked him why a rubber eraser was sticking out of his dick, and he finally confessed. We had to do surgery. And he was over 70, no wisdom in sight. When I was in university, my classmate and I were doing surgical practice. On the first day, we were split into groups. Luckily, my first experience was an appendectomy. My classmate was less lucky, he helped extract a diamond-encrusted dildo from a 110+ kg guy's rectum. He was standing at the most critical spot when it came time to extract it and had to catch the dildo while the surgeons pushed. My mom told me this story, she worked in the oncology department of a hospital at the time. Once, she came home, sat down, and said, syphilis in the eye, always make sure your partner is healthy. Don't take their word for it, verify they're healthy by any means. Just syphilis in the eye. I didn't feel like asking for details. Hematoma on the labia, a couple was having sex, then they argued and started fighting. The guy kicked her in the crotch, a blood vessel in the labia burst, and it swelled to the size of a big pear. It hurt her a lot, she wasn't shy in expressing what she thought of him. I always thought that since I'm a girl, I don't have to worry about getting kicked in the groin, but now I'm starting to fear getting hit there, and it sticks. My husband's uncle, an anesthesiologist, had a patient who came in because he poured cement into his ass to make a homemade dildo. They had to chisel the concrete out of his rectum. I worked in a physiotherapy clinic for many years. An 78-year-old man earned a herniated cervical disc while doing cunnilingus on his girlfriend. He was a frequent patient at this hospital and friendly with the therapist, so we got all the details. The patient was old, rich, and single, enjoying everything his position offered. Once, his 39-year-old girlfriend asked him to pleasure her as thanks, and as a result, for the first time at 78, the old man got on his knees in front of a woman. He didn't know what to do and started acting like a dog licking his bowl, by his own words. After a few seconds, he felt a pop, and his arm went numb. He only came to us 2 days later, his left arm was almost immobile. The doctor laughed so hard during the appointment that I had to peek in. The patient insisted I stay and hear the whole story. A couple of months later, he died from some other cause. I miss that old horny bastard. And one patient called an ambulance for ventricular tachycardia, a dangerous arrhythmia, because his boyfriend sprinkled methamphetamine on a dildo and stuck it in his ass. The powder absorbed into the body, and suddenly his heart rate shot up to 220 beats per minute. Haven't encountered anything worse. Dildos, vibrators, and other objects stuck in places where the sun doesn't shine. One guy said he liked shoving things up his ass and did the right thing by confessing. However, clumsy excuses for justification usually entertain us a lot. The worst genital injury was a guy who drilled his scrotum with a cordless drill while working on something. Gentleman's advice: if you value both your balls, never put a board between your knees. Infection in a penile implant, his dick looked like a purple beer can. They had to take him to the OR, literally slice his manhood like chicken fillet, remove the implant, and wash it. Worst of all, the doctors left him open for several days. Have you seen cases like that? Another doctor saw and heard something that happened to my friend, who was a manager at a Hungarian club. He was having sex with some girl on a spinning cart or bed in the middle of the club's lounge area, in front of more than 50 people who enjoyed the show. They accidentally slipped off the bed, and although it happened very quickly and unexpectedly, there was a distinct pop when he hit the floor. His penis broke. That pop still makes me shudder when I remember it. The poor guy's dick almost immediately looked like a deflated purple balloon. This happened many years ago, but you can be sure I'll never forget that broken penis. After all, that's what best friends are for. Severed vertebral artery from oral sex, essentially, a massive brain hemorrhage with no chance. My mom works as a secretary in a hospital. I've seen a few such cases. A guy came to them with a carrot stuck in his ass and said it happened because he was cooking naked in the kitchen and fell on the carrot. In such cases, it's better not to say anything, just, "There's a carrot stuck in my ass, get it out." I'll take this opportunity to thank everyone who shared their stories here. I'm sure mine will never stand up again. I worked in the ER of one of Washington's major hospitals while training as an EMT. I wasn't the one who took this patient. He came in complaining that everything down there was swollen. The nurse gave him a quick exam, immediately took him to an exam room, left him there, and came over to tell me what was going on. Apparently, this guy likes feeling weight on his balls when he fucks, so he inserted his dick and balls into the center of a 2 kilograms weight plate, like you put on free weights, and came. Then he fell asleep, woke up 5 hours later with swollen genitals, unable to get his dick out of the plate, and somehow managed to get to the hospital with a 2 kilograms weight plate in his pants. For the next half hour, we tried to reduce the swelling by applying crushed ice, but without much success. In the end, we had to call the firefighters to cut the plate. We took the guy to the psychiatrist's office, closed the door, and started cutting the plate, his manhood the whole time. We had to keep applying ice to the plate so it wouldn't heat up and he wouldn't get burns on his genitals. The patient didn't particularly like hearing the noise of the electric saw, the guy's screams, and the giggles of the medical staff. And the poor guy had to put up with a constant stream of doctors, nurses, and EMTs who kept coming in to grab something and see what was going on. My stepdad works as a doctor at the only hospital in the town where I grew up, so I had nowhere else to go when my idiot boyfriend and I crashed on swings he attached to the drywall ceiling, and I broke my tailbone. My stepdad also helped me when, 6 months later, the same guy was pounding from behind, very hard, but didn't hold my hips, and I fell off the bed and hit my head on the table. That's why I'm afraid to install the swings we bought like 10 years ago. My wife laughs at me for it. I know something bad will happen. Honestly, I'm a carpenter by trade, so I have plenty of skills to install them. I just can't shake the bad feeling. A patient came to us with a burn on his penis. We asked what could have caused the burn, and he said, "I had very rough sex, really very rough." I nodded and went to report to the doctor. We exchanged looks like what the, and she took the patient. He told her why he had the burn. It happened because he was fucking one girl so roughly that he burned himself on the carpet, even though he had pants on. The ambulance brought a couple to the hospital. The girl was in a white terry robe with bloodstains on the front, and the guy was wrapped in a shower curtain, trying to cover his junk. As it turned out, they slipped in the shower. She hit her chin on a glass soap dish while sucking him off. They got lots of small stitches. Not a doctor, but I'll tell you about my friend. His girlfriend decided to do something to him while they were cooking in the kitchen. Apparently, she'd been cutting a pretty hot pepper right before deciding to pin him against the wall. They didn't go to the hospital, but he swears he was very close to it. Naturally, all desire vanished after that. I have a regular job. I'm not a doctor, but one of my friends worked as a pharmacist in a hospital. He told me a patient came to them with a coffee thermos stuck in his ass, with the lid inside. He managed to pull out the thermos, but the lid stayed. A couple of days later, he finally decided to go to the hospital because it wouldn't come out. In the end, because of the lid, there were pus-forming bacteria, and they removed part of his colon. Now this guy's just over 30, and he has to use a colostomy bag. A 26-year-old guy got circumcised. The doctor prescribed abstinence from sex after the procedure, but the guy didn't listen. His organ looked like a peeled banana. One guy shoved a whole sausage stick up his ass. When he called us for an ambulance, before hanging up, I yelled at him not to forget the bread. The ambulance doctor tried to remove it but couldn't grab the end. In the end, the patient was taken to surgery, where an operation was performed to remove the sausage.